Hey single plane golfers, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're not a member, make sure to subscribe, because on this channel I'm going to cover all the topics around the single plane swing and Moe Norman, so you don't want to miss out. Now today I'm going to cover the basic concepts of single plane just as a review, so you understand exactly what the methodology here of what I teach. Now I said that it's a method, and that's an important thing to say, because a lot of teachers say, well, there is no one method of the of swinging a golf club. But I want to show you why there is a method, because the way I look at it is that everything in a golf swing relates. Let's talk about the single plane swing and why it's the absolute easiest way to hit a ball on the ground with a stick. If I was to give you a stick and just hand you something that's just no golf club, just a stick, and I said, I want you to go ahead and take that object, stand to the side of it, and hit it. I'll bet if you do this with a child, or you do this with anybody that's never played golf before, they will do this. They will point the stick directly at the object that they're going to strike. Now, that's an indication that you want to line up your arms in the same plane as you do the object you're going to strike. So there's the first indication of what the common sense of the single plane swing is we're trying to find the easiest way to strike the ball on the ground with a stick. Now, this leads me to another conversation of what's being taught today in the conventional golf world, and I call it conventional or traditional. Generally what they teach is a two-plane system. Let me show you what they teach. They teach you what I call the one mistake, which is the largest flaw, I believe, that's kind of invaded the golf world, is why I think maybe golf is too difficult for most people, because it's flawed from the very beginning. What the conventional golf world is teaching is to hang the arms below the shoulders at address. So basically hang your arms straight down. Now, what happens when you set up to something you're going to strike and you hang the arms straight down, that seems like it's a normal position to hang your arms, because they call that, you know, a natural arm hang position. The problem is that when you grab a club like that in what we call an arm hanging or two-plane position, it puts the arms on one plane and the shaft on another. Now you're going to say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, because of my arms being hanging down, it makes me stand closer to the golf ball. Now here's what happens. Remember, the golf swing is about producing speed, accelerating the club, and getting to the moment of impact in a consistent way to hit the ball as far as we can possibly hit it. So when I do this, when I hang my arms straight down and I form the arm plane and the shaft plane, the two separate planes, when I move this club around my body, remember there's mass here, and I try to produce rotational speed with the body, this club is going to try to align with the arms. So it's going to try to form an alignment with the arms. Now remember, you started in two planes, and by the time you've done that, it's lining up in one plane. You have to make room. The body has to adjust itself, because you start in two planes and you end up in one. So this change of planes from the arm hanging down to the impact plane forces the body to make a movement to adjust for the change. Now that's where it gets complicated. Because of the spatial problem, I have to lift up with my body, so I've got to go up. I've got to make room. Now if you watch the good players out there that have been able to accomplish this, guys like Lee Westwood, his feet are actually coming off the ground at impact. He's jumping. If you watch Ricky Fowler, and now trust me, I like watching these players. They're all fantastic golfers. But the compensation for that movement, the feet are lifting, the legs are straightening, the body's twisting, all that stuff going on is very difficult for most people to achieve. So the question becomes, what is the easiest way to strike that object with a stick? And I'm going to show you that simply what I did with that stick earlier is, if we can find a way to put the stick in line with the arms already at address, it makes it easier to get to this moment of impact, because everything's about getting to impact. So let me go through the basic fundamentals of what I teach in the single plane that's going to give you the idea of how we accomplish striking a golf ball in the easiest way possible. Now, the reason I teach the method of single plane is because every single, I call it metric, but every single part of the teaching relates to the next. For example, you can't just lift your arms onto a single plane. That's not all of it. You can't just take a little wider stance. That's not all of it, all right? So these things that I teach relate to each other. So let's just go through the basic things that relate to each other to create the single plane. The first thing is you're going to have to move away from the ball just a little bit. So I got to give myself some space. And then what I want to do is once I got a little space from the ball, I want to keep my legs relatively straight, and I'm going to bend from the waist. I don't want too much knee flex, because we'll see what happens with knee flex. It makes it very hard to bend my torso forward. So I have bend from the waist, which pushes the pelvis back. The lead foot slightly turned out. And then I'm going to put my arms out, but I'm going to tilt my body, my tilt to the right. I'm right-handed. And now what you see is you see two lines form. You see the alignment of the club and the arm form, and you see another alignment of the club and the lead arm form. So it's these two alignments, the down the line view of the club lining up and the face-on view of the club lining up, creates the ideal position of the body because of both the tilt forward and the tilt to the side that allows me now to take the club back and then come down and reach impact on the same shaft plane that I started. It's a spatial thing. It's the same thing that you give a kid a stick and he points the stick at the object. It's the same spatial thing that's created at the moment of address. So what you're doing here with a single plane swing is a common sense thing. You're finding the easiest way to strike that object with a stick, and you're putting your body in the right spot. Just imagine if you're too close to it, it's difficult. If you're too far from it, it's difficult. The proper spacing makes it easier to get to impact. Now, let's talk about a couple other things that happen. So the way you look at a methodology like the single plane is that because I've created a better spacing from the ball, and now I'm on a single plane back and down, and the spacing's the same at address and coming down to impact, my body positions can change. The way my body works can change. So now, what happens, because of my address on a single plane now, when I come back and I come down, my foot can stay on the ground and this knee can stay flexed. And now, because before when I was close to the ball, I had to what I call jump to hit a golf ball because I had to make room. Now I don't have to do that. I can come down into a flexed knee. Well, why does that matter? Well, a flexed knee is taking stress off the back. My spine is moving down equal distance to my pelvis, so it simplifies the ability to get to a stable position at impact and a more consistent position at impact. So I'm taking stress from the body. I'm making it easier to go from address to impact, and I'm getting to the same moment at impact consistently, which helps me become a more consistent ball striker. So you're seeing the single plane swing now from a method standpoint that relates from one thing to the next. For example, if I have a better spatial relationship from the ball, so I'm on the single plane, I take it back and I can get down to impact easier. I can get back to this extension easier through the ball. I can repeat the most important area of the swing. Backswing, impact, extension. So now the most important area of the swing from here to there, where I strike the golf ball, I can repeat it more consistently than ever. So let me go ahead and hit a shot for you here, just to give you a look at the single plane swing. Let me walk you through it here. I'll hit one shot, then I'll walk you through what I'm doing. Now, part of this whole process for me is that once you get the address set up correctly, you take the club back and then you stabilize it and you swing it through. I don't have a lot of swing thoughts. Obviously, I've practiced this quite a bit. But because I'm in a better spatial relationship from the ball, my body can learn a better motion from back and through, a more consistent motion, and I'm able to get the club to impact more consistently. So for me, it's really all about learning a motion from a better spatial relationship. So once again, a better spatial position of my body. I'm a little further from the ball than a conventional swing. I'm on a single plane. I'm tilted correctly. That's a very big part of it. I'm tilted correctly. You're seeing the lead arm slightly above the trail arm. I'm going to go back and down, and I'll impact on the same exact plane. So that's the key to a single plane golf swing, is you got to fix the position of the body and get all the pieces right, because it all relates to each other, and that's the method of single plane.